this will kick off in just another minute, so.
This will kick off?
Yes, it'll kick off. Just give it one more minute.
Okay.
Down the sign.
15 seconds, all right.
Countdown is on.
Or that. Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the May meeting of the Clarksville-Montgomery County Regional Planning Commission. If you would, let us all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to look at the minutes of the April 23rd meeting. Are there any changes or additions? Not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Motion for approval. Second.
Got a motion and property made second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Tyndall?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Regional Planning Commission. Dial it down just a little bit. All right. Excuse our mess today. We came in this morning to some water damage from the storms over the weekend. I hope you all fared a little better than we did, but at least it's quiet now. We can hold our meeting. Mr. Chairman and Planning Commission, we do have several deferrals today. These will all, if you're here for one of these cases, these will be held next month. And the first one is under their subdivisions tab, variance 2, case number 8. Application of Terrence Burney. That also goes with case number 10 S20 2024, Terrence Burney, application of Dice Court and Givens Lane. Also deferred case number 12 S29 2024, Monica Gold for plat of Glen Ellen Landing Section 5. On the next page, case number 14 S31 2024, application of Bill Mace, Bayview Subdivision. Under the site reviews, case number 15, SR 18 2024, application for Craft Street Popeyes is deferred a month. And on the next page, number 23, case number SR 26 2024, application for McDonald's on Allen Road, also deferred. And finally, case number 25, AB1 2024 for an abandonment of an unimproved alley off South 7th Street between 207 and 215 South 7th Street is also deferred. So, Commissioners, I'll need a motion on all those deferrals, please.
Give me that last one.
Case 23, McDonald's, deferred, and then on the very last page, 25.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and property made second to defer these individual cases. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, like sign? Okay. Are you gonna take John's place?
I am. Yes. You want to give everyone a spiel about the
Yeah,
meeting dates?
yeah. Okay, we're gonna, if you've been here before, you've heard plenty of these already, but we'll have a public hearing on each of the rezoning cases. There will be up to 3 people that can speak in favor of a rezoning request, up to 3 people that could speak against. You got 3 minutes to make your spiel, so get your notes together and do the best you can with 3 minutes. I see Mr. Riccone grinning. He knows what it's like. He's just on the opposite side today. But if you've got a case here today and you want to follow it, you can. It'll depend on where the property's located. If it's a city case, be held by or looked at by the city council. City council takes 2 votes before something is approved or disapproved. On the county side, they only vote 1 time. So look at the dates that are on your agenda. Make sure you keep up with them if you want to follow those cases as they go down the pike from here. So, okay, Mr. Tyndall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be taking over the city zoning today as Mr. Spain Howard is under the weather. Our first case today is Z10 2024. This was deferred from last month. This is the application of Chris Blackwell. It is 2.27 acres, currently zoned R1 Single Family Residential District and requesting to go to R6 Single Family Residential District. It is not an extension of the R6, though there is R6 within the surrounding area. The portion of the track is located at the northeast corner of Gupton Lane and Gupton Circle intersections. It is a southern portion of a tract of an area that is, this request is relatively level, is a level wooded area. The northern area of the track outside the area of the request is the established Evergreen Cemetery. This is a portion of the cemetery which Mr. Black has an interest in, Blackwell, sorry. The applicant's statement is to request more density for single-family zoning to assist with required roadway and utility improvements. This does have a previous zoning history in 2021, requested to go from R1 to R4. It was both disapproved at the Planning Commission and at City Council. Department comments or concerns. The Gas and Water Department said a sewer main extension and water main upgrades are required. The Street Department has said sidewalks are required along the frontage of the road widening and sidewalks required along all road frontage of the subject property here, not all road frontages that I'm going to go through here. And road widening and dedication will be required. They would like 30 feet of total width of right-of-way along the road frontage of Gupton Lane and Gupton Circle, and then a 22-foot total width of pavement along the frontage of Gupton Lane and Gupton Circle. Provide 20 feet of total right-of-way width and minimum paving starting immediately north of the property along Gupton Lane to Church Drive, and provide 22 total feet of width along Church Drive from Gupton Lane to Edmondson Ferry Road. This was provided to the applicant and their engineer, and they said it was acceptable. You also see the school system comments about their capacities listed. On page number 3, the historical estimates for this rezoning case would be 26 units. This is in the South Clarksville planning area. And I do want to read something from the you don't have a comprehensive plan on you, do you? I'll pull it up. The staff does recommend disapproval, and when I pull this up, I do want to also, since we are using the new comprehensive plan, mention to you the section that talks about how we should go about rezoning cases. I will do this also at the city and county this month. I just got to download it here. Staff recommends disapproval. This request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan. The proposed R6 single-family residential district does not appear to be in character with the surrounding residential development pattern, nor does it appear to be an appropriate transition to the commercial industrial hybrid to the south. The future land use opinion map indicates that this property is part of the Evergreen Cemetery and the immediate area adjacent to the request identified as the suburban neighborhood, and the proposed R6 single-family zoning classification does not align with the intended future land use map of this area. The roadway infrastructure improvements have been identified by the Clarksville Street Department as part of this request, and the RPC staff does have concerns relative to the sensitive nature of improvements in close proximity to this cemetery. And I'll read you this short blurb from the comprehensive plan. In Chapter 11, we discuss in here how we will evaluate guidance on zoning changes, and I wouldn't say these are 6 steps. They're not necessarily in order. They're just 6 things that we will look at anytime a property is considered for rezoning. First, we're going to look at consistency with the comprehensive plan or an area plan if it exists. Next, we're going to see if there's consistency with a completed neighborhood plan. The only neighborhood plan to date is the Red River neighborhood plan that we have completed. Next, we'll see is the zoning correcting a mistake. Will the zoning significantly alter the character of the neighborhood or area? Will the rezoning improve the public welfare, health, safety, or prosperity? And has there been a major change of a socioeconomic or physical nature within the area involved that was not anticipated in the present plan, but which has substantially altered the character of the area? We'll take into account all those, weigh them out together, ask for additional input from other departments, and come up with our recommendation. So that's in the plan. You can always look at that under Chapter 11. Commissioners, back to your tablet under page 4. You'll see we do not have any, we do have one attached letter from the public there on page 5. On page 6 is the overall zoning area for this site. On page 7 is the zoning map showing the C2 to the south and the R1 to the north. And on page 8 is a zoomed in area of the area subject to the rezoning. I already read you our recommendation. I'll be happy to answer any questions before the public hearing.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Tyndall, I know this had been discussed, this was deferred from 2 months ago. And I know 2 months ago, they had first said they were willing to make improvements to the road because that was a concern that you all had. And even when they said that you said that may change y'all's opinion of it. Is there a reason that with the substantial improvements that they're talking about making to the road way beyond just there where the development will be, that you're still opposed to it?
Yes, we did look at this pretty in depth. We were satisfied with the applicant's proposal, so was the street department with the improvements. However, we couldn't quite connect the dots in the comprehensive plan of, yes, the area needs to be improved, but we felt that the request of R6 was just a little too much for the character of the area, which is what we consider commercial industrial hybrid to the south. It's a lot of commercial and storage buildings, some older commercial buildings, and then some older small houses but larger lots to the north. And we just didn't feel it was a appropriate transition at this time.
What do you think is the appropriate transition?
Well, a couple of years ago, it came in as R4, and that was defeated. R4 and R6 are very similar in densities. I don't want to put staff on the spot and say, this is what we definitely would support, because we have to evaluate everything. But obviously, a lower density residential may get more support from staff than the higher density R6. But I think that's covered in the number 3 of the staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Commission, any more questions?
I do. I have one, and maybe I'm just hearing things Friday when we had review, but from the street department standpoint, they said they had no problems. Did I misunderstand John's or Mr. Spain Howard's comment that the street department had no problems with it until there is one? Is that what was said, or am I misconstruing what I heard Friday?
They're here. If I'd rather you hear it right from their mouth than for me to paraphrase that and maybe make a mistake. So without objection, Mr. Chairman, if the street department could clarify that they're okay with what was read into the record here.
Mr. Cowan?
I think he wants, or Mr. Green. Over here, Joe Green.
This is Joe Green, the street department. The question is, are we okay with the improvements that we've agreed upon with the developer?
Correct. And can it be done? And just like I'm saying, Mr. Green, I heard something Friday that maybe I didn't hear, but that it would work until it didn't. So what kind of comment is that?
I'm not sure what kind of comment that would be. It would work until it wouldn't. We're asking for full right-of-way width widening on Gupton Lane. And from my understanding is that the adjacent property with the cemetery, there were no markers within the right-of-way width. But that doesn't guarantee that there's nothing
Right.
hidden below ground. that might obstruct it. I think maybe that is what you're referring to.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. I just didn't read it in here with the street department's
Sure.
comments anyway. So
Okay.
if there was a concern with a grave or something being turned a different direction, then the assumption is that could affect the
Correct.
road.
Correct.
Okay.
So then my question would be, if they did, so they're building along and we find something, so what happens then? Do we stop? Do we move the body? Do we,
Well, I know that the street department doesn't want to get involved in something like that.
because that feels kind of,
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like we would want to, because in the letter that I just read, the family said there's gravestones that are just 4 feet away from the road. That means we don't know.
I think further investigation of it would need to be done.
Yeah, because I think, and that can be done with they could scan the area and see how many bodies are there.
However they, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I have another.
Any further questions?
I have another question.
Okay.
In regard to, in the event that there's realization that the graves are closer than is currently assumed, if they're not able to widen the road to the stipulations that are in here, then the project does stop and they're unable to still move forward with it, correct? If they can't follow what is being required.
I think within a reasonable amount, I think it would, if it cannot be reasonably accommodated, I would think that might slow or stop progress of the development.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Okay, we're going into public hearing, so anyone here would like to speak on behalf of the applicant? Anyone in favor?
Good evening, Commissioners. Chris Blackwell, 2091 Bend Road. We've been a couple months now looking into this, and I think we've fulfilled everything that we've been asked of us with the water lines and the road widths, and we see that we can do it successfully as of right now. So is there any questions for me?
Yeah, I have a question that I probably should have asked the street department. What is the current width? And maybe that Mr. Tyndall can answer it, and if so, we can wait. But what's the current width of Gupton Lane?
You've got two measurements. You've got right-of-way and you've
I
got
can wait.
pavement.
I can ask that question of the engineer if he's gonna speak.
Sure.
I apologize.
Sure.
Anything else for Mr. Blackwell? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else that'd like to speak in favor of Z10 2014?
Cal McKay, 1545 Madison Street. I think I can answer Ms. Streetman's question. It's 20 feet on north of what Mr. Blackwell's wanting to develop, so, and then it goes down, it bottlenecks down to 12. But there's only like 380 foot of length before you get to Church Road.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at the, and you can say your part first if you'd like, then I can, because I wanted to ask.
No, that's all, I mean,
I just wanted to know kind of how much each of the roads are gonna be improved there.
12 to 20 is probably the biggest jump.
And that's on the Gupton Lane part?
Yes.
What about Church Drive?
It's probably close to 22 now. But it's got 25 foot of right of way.
Is it gonna require clearing all those trees along the cemetery side?
Some
I know
of them.
some of them are already blown over.
Yeah, some of them. There's a little patch of them right there before you get to Church Road.
Any more questions for Mr. McKay? Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of Z10 2024? Okay, anyone here would like to speak against this particular case? Anyone against? Okay, public hearing is closed.
I make a motion for approval based on the fact that there will be substantial upgrades beyond just the development to the water main line through a partnership with Gas and Water, as well as improvements to the roads in the area, which will be beneficial to residents beyond the development.
Second.
We got a motion and a properly made second for approval of Z10 2024. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Nay.
Nay.
Got 2 nays.
Can we get hands on the ayes?
Yeah,
No, not an aye.
Ayes, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay.
4-2. Okay,
2 passes.
motion passes.
All right.
Okay, we're now in the public hearing for case Z21. The owner or the applicant is Carlo Berzi.
All
Anyone
right.
here would like
Wait,
to?
Let me present first. Sorry, I had to catch up with the names on those.
Catching all the.
I got all
Okay.
the names.
Okay.
All right, our next case is Z21, 2024, application of Carlo Berzi. Agent is Larry Riccone. This property is a 1.38 acre developed parcel of M1 light industrial, requesting to go to C5 highway and arterial commercial district. It is not an extension of the zoning classification, though C4 does exist to the south. The parcel of land fronts the east frontage of Smokestack Drive, approximately 475 feet north of Corporate Parkway Boulevard and Smokestack Drive intersection. The description of the property is an industrial warehouse building site, and I'm going to apologize to the agent. In here, it says applicant statement for proposed use, none, and unfortunately, I don't have the file in front of me. We're going to run up and try to find it. But he can always provide that from the podium here. So what you have here is an existing building being used as a warehouse, C5 zoning. When the applicant approached us with the dilemma they're in, and I'll let them explain that during the public hearing, C5 does allow for both a restaurant use to open to the public as well as a warehousing use. We did not receive any other department comments or concerns. The street department said sidewalk may be required upon further development of this site. This is in the Rossview planning area on page 11. I'll give you the staff report last. You can see on pages 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, 2 letters of support, as well as some, I believe, 3 letters of support and some other permits and paperwork that the applicant may reference during the public hearing. Back on page 11, the staff's recommendation on this is for disapproval. This request is not consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The request does not align with the recommendation to preserve industrial zone property in the industrial park and planning area, and the proposed C5 displaces existing M1 light industrially zoned property. When industrial zone property is displaced, future industrial uses are pushed to areas that are likely not in character with their surroundings. The future land use opinion map indicates that this area is a commercial industrial hybrid area, and C5 and highway and arterial zoning does not align with the intent of the future land use designation. The property also does not have frontage on an arterial highway. The current M1 zoning is assumed to be correct for the property and aligns with the land use opinion map. There also has been no changes within the area that were not anticipated in the present plans, nor change of character in the area that warrants a change of zoning classification. Thank you, Brad. And upon looking at the file, no, we do not have a written justification unless we have it via email. Hold on. description. All right, I'll leave the applicant's statement blank at this point. Commissioners, I'll be happy to answer any of your questions before public hearing.
Okay, case Z21, 2024, owner Carlo Bersey, public hearing. Anyone here like to speak in favor?
Yes, sir. Larry Riccone, 308 South Second Street. I wasn't sure that made it in the record, so everything that was referenced by Mr. Tyndall, I kind of doubled that up. Page 3 is a little different, which I'll address here in a moment. Just a brief history so we know why we're here. We're here because Mr. Bruzy wants to open up a restaurant in the front of that building. If you notice when you looked at the picture, there's a large amount of warehouse space. The front is a little offset. So how did we get here? So Mr. Bruzy is part of what is called Hydro Design. They've been a vibrant member of our industrial community for a long time. That building on the overhead, on the south, that massive building is Hydro Design. That is his company. They work extensively with Florum and other tile manufacturers here. That building right now, they employ 100 people. They have a tax assessed value just in the real estate of $2.6 million. They then purchased the property we're talking about today for $1.8 million, which is a sizable investment in our community, to expand their warehouse. In the expansion of the warehouse, Mr. Bruzy identified that his workers and people on that side of the interstate can't get food. The IDB is actually putting restaurants out there now to address this situation. But when you have 1 hour for lunch, just getting across the interstate down to the mall area burns your time. Mr. Bruzy, being from Italy, says we don't have good Italian food. I agree with him. And he wants to have a good Italian food restaurant. Fast food during lunch, and then a good Italian restaurant. Doesn't look like an Italian restaurant on the outside. We know that. The food's gonna speak for itself. We're okay with that. So he cut a hole into the side of the new building, poured concrete to it. All the warehousing goes in and out of the side. He goes, and on page 3 you'll see, he hires B.R. Miller. They go to Building and Codes and submit an application to build out a restaurant in the front. In building out a restaurant in the front, that's all fine. The application's approved. They are rocking and rolling. At some point, he goes and gets his permit from the city and the county for taxes. All approved, rocking and rolling. I misspoke. We never got a beer permit. I do not want to mislead anybody. We made application. We did not get it. I think the beer permit may have been the part that triggered something. But at some point at 80% to completion, Mr. Bruzy calls me in a panic and says, uh-oh, we have a problem. I go out there, I inspect it. I say, we have a problem. There is side dining outside too. You'd asked about that. There's ample parking, even without taking up the bays in the back. Plenty of parking. Everything's great. We have a problem with zoning. Mr. Tyndall and his staff were excellent as always. I met with them. How do we fix it? We came up with C5. We are gonna have to warehouse. This is an accessory use. We have to have the warehouse. Now, looking around, oh glory. You'd think oh glory is C5 and would be an extension of the zone. Oh glory is C4. Probably should be C5. But so I'm gonna present to you, we are somewhat an extension of the zoning as we do touch oh glory. First thing we did, knowing what y'all would ask for, is who's opposed to this? Well, the largest owner of the building is the building adjacent to this, which is Hydro Design. We, of course, don't oppose it. Everybody around it supports it. We are at the end. We want to have a restaurant. We firmly believe that this is in line with what we have. And we ask you to support it. We think this is a true hybrid. And we think this rezone will improve the area. And Mr. Bruzy is here, if you'd like to hear from him. And I think I might have somebody else. There's been no opposition.
Any questions for Mr. Wilkins?
Any questions for Mr. Riccone? Let's hear from Mr. Bersey.
My deal. We stuck your case in a little translation. I speak no Italian.
I speak a little English. Apologize if my English is not great. I'm just been around only 15, 16 years. Sorry. It was just a joke. I mean, I came here with my family around 2010. I know Richard. We've been doing some kind of business about leasing some building back in 2010. Our primary business is hydro design. Hydro design is in Corporate Parkway Boulevard, close to Old Glory Distillery. We do mosaics. We manufacture mosaics, so we cut tiles. That's our primary business. We purchased last year this building that is behind us. That is actually the Smokestack Drive building. We get to the point that we were thinking to have a kind of restaurant for our employees. We are about 100 employees so far, so I think it was a good benefit for them to have this kind of service. Like Larry said, it's a long time to go to some kind of restaurant unless you want to go to like a gas station. That we have a couple of gas stations very close, and I think it's a good opportunity also for the community to have a good Italian food. We are originally born and raised in Italy. My family is here with me. The kids born in United States. We live in Clarksville since 2010. I think it's a good opportunity to have this kind of food. It's something completely different from what we usually have here. Maybe like more Domino's pizza or other. Of course, I can understand, but this is what we try to move and bring in Clarksville. We have to drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes, other city to go and find good food, usually. Nashville is the closest. I think it's a very good opportunity, this one. I'm not saying, and I'm gonna be grateful even if you don't approve this, but I think it's something to consider. We have this building that is very good location, very close to highway, close to Old Glory. We are touching each other. They serve good American food. We can serve good Italian. Is the building plenty of space for parking? Is a good entrance, the front entrance. We really think it would be a good opportunity for serving and to have a little help also for the community, not only from our employee, of course. If it's something that is not possible, we still probably go ahead and have our little restaurant for our own, because it's an M1 zone so far, and so because it's an M1 zone, we are basically allowed to have a kind of restaurant, accessory restaurant for our business. But I think it's a good opportunity for the Clarksville community. I really say thanks in advance, and if you have any question, I'm here.
I think you're doing pretty good with your English.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Better than I would do trying to speak Italian, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burson. Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Okay, do we have anybody here who would like to speak against this rezone application? Anyone against? Seeing no opposition, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Chair, I have a question. I know it's kind of been referenced on both sides here. It says that the request does not align with the recommendation to preserve the industrial zoned property within the industrial park and planning area, but Mr. Riccone referenced correctly so that the Industrial Development Board has been trying, or the IDB has been trying to bring in food locations. Did we hear anything at all from the Industrial Development Board that they were opposed to this change?
The Industrial Development Board has decided to not make any comment on it this time. They're not for or against it at the moment. But I think what Mr. Riccone did reference was the need for the food on that side.
And then my only other question would be the future land use opinion map indicates that this area as a commercial industrial hybrid. Wouldn't this actually be a commercial industrial hybrid with having it still using part of it as an industrial with the warehouse space and then the commercial opportunity with the restaurant?
Mostly, and I will say, just to be transparent, for this to be one of the first cases on the new comprehensive plan, it was very difficult for us to wade through this one. This is one of those cases where something is started, then whether it was an error of some sort, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, the first fix we should try is, can we rezone it appropriately? So after Mr. Riccone came to our office and we looked at the book and tried to understand his side of the situation, C5 is the only zone that can accommodate both a restaurant and a warehouse. You can have a restaurant in a M1 zone, but it's supposed to be accessory to the workers there and not the primary use, which it could be. I'll just read commercial industrial hybrid from the comprehensive plan really quickly. Yes, the industrial agrees. We feel that a restaurant use like this is a little too heavy of a commercial use for it. Really quickly, the commercial industrial hybrid designation includes a mixture of low traffic commercial uses such as gyms, breweries, contractors or building supply offices, heavy auto repair or outdoor vehicle and mini storage, along with compatible light manufacturing, warehousing, assembly, and contractors' businesses. Industrial facilities in this designation are typically non-hazardous, non-polluting, and low nuisance, odors, light, or heavy truck traffic. The commercial industrial hybrid designation has smaller buildings than the manufacturing and industrial designation, and in commercial industrial hybrid areas may be located near high-density residential neighborhoods when they're appropriately buffered, providing residents with local convenient access to employment. So it doesn't really discuss much about restaurants and converting of buildings, so we kind of had to take it on its face, this one, which was in front of us.
Any more questions?
No, sir.
I make a motion for approval.
Second.
We've got a motion and properly made second.
Okay.
All,
I will need a purpose for the approval, unfortunately.
Oh, no, it's not a problem. It's because
Sure.
it's so close to another, well, because I believe that there was some steps that were missed, and to make him responsible would be not fair. And then there are restaurants there is a restaurant that sits very close, and there's also there's also one that is closer at C5, which I think is the Sam's, that's even close, not as close, but close in proximity on the map. So for that, I would say approval.
I still
We
second.
got this second. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
okay, we've got a motion and a properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Mr. Tindall, note that I abstain.
We got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and an abstention.
The motion passes.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, this is the application of Christopher Hayes, Z22, 2024. Harvey, I'm sorry. Need new glasses already. This is 0.85 acres, currently zoned R3 and requesting to go to R4, and it is an extension of the zoning, and you can see on the map, it's on all three sides of the property. It's a parcel of land fronting the south frontage of Needmore Road, south of Needmore and Centerstone Circle intersection. There's a residential home site currently, and the applicant's statement is to expand the development to the east. Department comments received. There was no gravity sewer in the area. A lift station upgrade will be required. The site driveway will coordinate with the city road improvements during construction process along the Needmore Road area. And you see the school system comments about their capacities listed. On page 24, historical estimates would put this at approximately 10 units. We have received no public comments, or emails, or phone calls as of 4:30 yesterday on page 25. And then back to page 24, staff does recommend approval. Oh, this is also in the St. Bethlehem planning area. I apologize for that. Staff recommends approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. This request is in alignment with the goal of prioritizing development of underutilized sites in an area where multifamily residential is encouraged due to its proximity to commercial, transit, and major roadways. The future land use opinion map indicates this area should be a mixed residential neighborhood, and this request aligns with the intent of the mixed residential neighborhood and is in character with the surrounding development pattern. Infrastructure is being improved in this area, and for that, the staff recommends approval.
Okay, Commissioners, any questions before we go into public hearing?
I have one quick question. Mr. Tyndall, I asked this during the meeting on Friday, but just so it's also on the record here, what is the historical estimate number of units that it would, that you could get if it remained R3?
Right now, you could build a triplex in the R3 out there. And depending on the frontage, if you were able to work out maybe a flag lot situation, potentially 6 total units.
Okay, thank you.
Due to the road frontage, but that would be the max. So, again, it's not a perfect square. It's a pretty good square, so we're estimating possibly 10 with the R4.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we're in public hearing on case Z22, 2024. Applicant is Christopher Harvey. Anyone here would like to speak in favor of this zoning application?
Hello, everyone. Richard Garrett, 1488 Collinsview Way. And here on behalf of the applicant, just to provide some additional information if you have any questions. I know the historical estimate of what we can put is 10 units. We're actually looking at about 7 units and using the rest of it as kind of storm water drainage. Any other questions or concerns for me at this time?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the applicant, if I could. Richard, is this going to be a standalone project, or are you going to incorporate it with either of the other 2 multifamily projects in the area?
If you're facing the parcel, we'd be incorporating it with the one on the left. We already own that, and I think we got it rezoned, about a year ago?
Yes. All right, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. Anyone else to speak in favor of Z22? Anyone in opposition to Z22? Seeing none, we close the public hearing. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion for approval. It's consistent with the land use plan.
Second.
Got a motion and a properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
All right, that concludes the city cases, Commissioners. If you will open up your county zoning tab. We do have a few cases in the county as well. First one is CZ 2024, application of Gary Thomas Mosley. Agent is Christian Black. The total acreage here is 1.29 acres, currently zoned R1 and requesting to go to C2 General Commercial District. The property fronts the south frontage of Highway 149, approximately 1,560 feet west of 149 and Bell Road intersection. It's an irregular shaped wooded track, and the applicant's statement is to offer small business opportunities to the neighboring area, such as shops, cafes, small office spaces, etc. This is in the planned growth area and the Cumberland planning area of the growth plan. We didn't receive any other comments or concerns. The street department did make a comment based on the road frontage, but the applicant may also potentially have a driveway off 149 to work out with TDOT. On page 3, this is in the the Cumberland South River planning area. Staff does recommend disapproval. This request is not consistent with the overall objectives of the Montgomery County Clarksville Comprehensive Plan. This request is located 2,485 feet from the center of a commercial reinvestment node identified on the future land use map at River Road and 149. While this property is near the identified commercial node, it is still 2,000 feet, separated by 2,000 feet of residential property. Commercial development should be paced from the center of a node out. At this point, the application is premature and does not meet the goals of the comprehensive plan. Strip commercialization of traffic corridors should be discouraged. On page 4, we did not receive any comments or concerns from the public as of 4:30 yesterday. On page 5 is the general area map. On page 6 is the zoning map of the area. And on the right side of the map, you can see the C2, which is closer to River Road, which is just outside the view there, and a C1 parcel to the west. And then page 7 is a zoomed in view of that. And you can see the property has frontage on 149 and also off Palmyra Road off a side street. I'll be happy to answer any questions from the commissioners.
I've got-
Okay, we're in public hearing for county cases.
Richard?
I do have a question. Since they're, the only comments from the Montgomery County Street Department is no traffic assessment required, is that all we've got from them? Is that?
They did provide another comment earlier in the month.
I apologize.
It's okay.
I was looking for it.
Yeah, this was deferred last month, so it's, let's see if I can pull their email back up. They, we went back and forth on this one regarding the access. The highway department said, I wouldn't see an issue with the property maintaining access to Palmyra or River Road, and it looks like that is an existing access. They may also have a old access to 149 that would have to be cleared out and discovered there, but in the aerial that we have, there appears to be a truck parked in the area of a driveway to 149 on this property. So it would be our opinion that they could probably have both if TDOT says that that was a driveway at one point.
Okay, that was gonna be my question, was in regard to accessing Highway 149.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, we're in public hearing for CZ 02-2024. Gary Thomas Mosley being the owner and/or applicant. Anyone here like to speak in favor? Is Christian Black here? Okay. Anyone else would like to speak in favor? Anyone like to speak against this application? Yes, sir, please come forward.
My name is Edward Crutcher. I'm at 1878 Richardson Road. I own the property next, just right next door to the property in question. And I'm not surprised that the street department or the county highway department would have an issue with accessibility, because literally what happened when the state run that road through there, they took a pretty good chunk of either side, but it's at a sharp incline. There's limited visibility. I run my tractor in and out of there trying to bush hog and maintain the property, and I just about get run over. They're flying down 149. So that to me is not at all a surprise. And one issue that I think the only English word that comes to mind with respect to this property is proportionality. It's completely disproportionate with everything that is there, and it lacks infrastructure. The county doesn't have sewage. Everything would have to be run down that state right-of-way unless it's accessed from the old 149. You have to have 1.5 acres for residential construction. And you're gonna put some kind of commercial development on 1.29 acres? That's crazy to me. That makes no sense to me. It's just completely disproportionate with everything that's there. And it's complex. I looked at putting a residential construction on the other side of the road. There are a number of issues that led me just to defer it and put it off. I mean, anything that's done there would have to be completely thought through. My brother-in-law arranged filling what's nothing more than a big hollow that sits right next to it. It took over a year and a half to fill it. It's terrible. It's just a terrible place to put anything. And also have, you know, with respect to those mechanical issues or those practical issues, I also have a petition with over 300 signatures. And I can't find anybody that supports any of this. I really don't. People are in opposition to it. And I think it's just, you know, as the Regional Planning Commission concluded, it's just disproportionate with everything that's there. And that's all I have to say. You know, I just, you know, want y'all to just look through it. I mean, there's a practical approach to this. There's a prudent way to look at this, and just weigh it in the balance. And I very much appreciate your time, and I appreciate your explanation of how this process takes place earlier. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Crutzer. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak against this rezoning application? Seeing none other commissioners, we're back into regular session.
I'll make a motion for disapproval based on the fact, I'll actually base it on Mr. Crutcher's statement, that we only allow houses to be built on 1.5 acres out in the county, and this is only 1.2 something acres, and we're talking about allowing commercial there. So it's not consistent with the land use plan.
Second.
Got a motion and properly made second to disapprove CZ 2/2024. All in favor for disapproval?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. CZ 02/2024 fails.
All right, Commissioners, the next case up is CZ 3/2024, application of Philip Trailer. This is 1.13 acres, currently zoned ag, and requesting to go to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. This is an extension of the C5 to the south. It's a portion of two parcels fronting the east frontage of Highway 12, approximately 915 feet south of the Highway 12 and Shady Grove intersection. It's a semi-wooded tract with a structure on site. The applicant's statement is this zone request is an extension of the C5 zone, and we ask for this to be rezoned to have the ability to build commercial buildings similar to the existing businesses adjoining the property to the south and across the road. We believe this zone matches the surrounding area, and we ask for your support. This is in the rural area of the growth plan and the Fredonia Adams area of the comprehensive plan. No department comments or concerns, with the exception of the highway department, which did not require a traffic assessment at this time, but will reevaluate the need for that at a site plan phase in the future. On page 10, the staff's recommendation on this is for approval. The request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. This request is located in a commercial reinvestment node identified on the future land use map, and the C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial Zone is located along the Highway 12 Ashland City Road and is an extension of C5 zoning district. There's adequate infrastructure serving the site, and no adverse environmental issues were identified. We did not receive any public comments as of 4:30 last night. On page 12, you can see the parcel view there, the wide angle view. On page 13, you can see the zoning. And just to elaborate on this commercial investment node in the county, the area between Shady Grove Road and then the road to the south, where most of these commercial entities are, that's about a half-mile stretch, and it falls within sort of that quarter-mile radius of a commercial area, which was pinpointed right at the middle of this area. So it is consistent, though a little different than the last case you just had. And on the last page, you can see the area for rezoning. It's only the front portion of two longer parcels that go further back. Be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we're gonna go into public hearing, this being for case CZ 3/2024. Philip Traylor being the applicant. The engineers are here.
Sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit. Brad Weekly with Weekly Brothers Engineering, 108 Center Point Drive. Mr. Traylor couldn't make it today. He's at an auction. Just like it was stated, we are adjacent to or adjoining the same zone. Plan on doing very similar to the three structures there to the south and across the road. We are sort of in the central of that commercial zone, of that commercial node, as he was referencing. All around us, there's commercial. I know there's ag mixed in as well, but we feel like this is the best use of that property. If you have any questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weekly. Anyone else that'd like to speak in favor of CZ 3/2024? Anyone who would like to speak against CZ 3? Anyone against? Public hearing is closed, Commissioners. We're back into regular session.
Motion for approval is it's consistent with overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarksville-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
We got a motion properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
All right, continuing on page 15 of your staff report there to final county case. I'm sorry, no, there's two more cases. Yeah, we haven't had a county case in ages. We have four. CZ4 2024, application of EnterSource Properties. Agent is Elizabeth Balthrop. This is 2.34 acres, currently zoned C2 General Commercial District and requesting to go to C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District. It is not an extension of the C5. It's a parcel of land located at the southwest corner of 149 and River Road. It's an existing commercial strip center, and the applicant's statement is for future relocation of Wyatt's Body Shop, which is down the road. It is in the planned growth area of the growth plan and in the Cumberland South River planning area of the comprehensive plan. There were no department comments or concerns. Staff does recommend approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. This request is located within a commercial reinvestment node identified on the future land use map, and the C5 Highway and Arterial Commercial District is located along 149 and River Road intersection. Adequate infrastructure serves the site and no adverse environmental issues were identified. I do need to back up a little bit on department comments or concerns. We got a late comment in today from the Highway Department that access would be preferred from River Road on this project. On page 19 is the wide angle of this property. On page 20, you can see this entire intersection is commercialized with C2. This would be the first C5, but you can't do auto body in C2 in the county. And then the close-up view on page 21. We did not receive any comments or concerns from the public, and you heard the staff's recommendation for approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we're in public hearing for case CZ 4/2024. EnterSource Properties is the owner. I think Ms. Balthrop is the agent. Is anyone here who'd like to speak in favor?
My name's Terry Buckner, it's 5572 Marion Road. Elizabeth's out of pocket today, so I thought I'd come up here and just answer any questions. The situation with the entrance, we are going off River Road, is what we had planned on anyway. So, is there any other questions? We just need more space. We got a little acre lot where we're at now, and there's just too many cars. We got too many customers.
That's a great problem to have.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Getting behind makes everybody a little
Anxious.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? We have done some investigating on the old Hilltop building, and we believe we're probably gonna demo it and just restart. So,
Thank you, Mr. Buckman. Anyone else that'd like to speak in favor of this rezoning application? Is anyone here who is opposed to this rezoning application? Seeing no opposition, commissioners, the public hearing is closed. We're back into regular session.
I make a motion for approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the adopted Clarkson-Montgomery County Comprehensive Plan.
Second.
Got a motion properly made second. All in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion passes.
Now the final case for the county case is CZ 5, 2024. The application of the Industrial Development Board. The agent is Josh Ward, VP of the IDB. This is a request of 4.3 acres, currently zoned AG Agricultural District and requesting for M1 Light Industrial District. It's a parcel of land fronting the south frontage of Dunlop Lane, approximately 1,050 feet east of Dunlop Lane and Michaela Circle intersection. It's a semi-wooded site with a structure on the southern portion of the parcel. The applicant's statement is the parcel is located in the industrial park adjacent to Hankook 3 Red Knight and a 70-acre IDB parcel. The zone request is M1, not M2. The growth plan indicates this is in the rural area and is in the Rossview planning area. There were no other department comments or concerns from our other departments. The Planning Commission does recommend approval. This request is consistent with the overall goals and objectives of the comprehensive plan. The future land use opinion map indicates this area is intended for commercial and industrial hybrid uses. The proposed M1 light industrial zone aligns with the intent of this future land use designation, and adequate infrastructure serves the site, and no adverse environmental issues were identified as part of this request. You can see on page 25, we did receive an email that is also on page 26 with some photos attached. On page 27 is the wider angle map. On page 28, you can see the zoning of the area. And on page 29 is a zoomed in view of the property. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we're back in the public hearing, this being for CZ 5, 2024. The IDB is the owner. Anyone here would like to speak in favor?
Good afternoon, Josh Ward, 25 Jefferson Street, Suite 300. I'm with the Industrial Development Board. Everything south of Dunlop up to Rossview Road is considered the South Industrial Park. It's home to Hankook, FedEx, and all the tenants that operate in that area. We understand there's a residential neighborhood in the South Park about 2 parcels up. That's why we're putting restrictions on ourselves, not asking for an M2 zoning, heavy industrial, asking for a light industrial zoning. We actually acquired this parcel with an interlocal agreement with the city. When Atlas BX came about 10 years ago, we were thinking they may need a secondary access to Dunlop. They ended up not needing it. Their primary access is off International Boulevard. If rezoned from Ag to M1, we are actually eligible for a $100,000 grant from TVA to train 25 CMCSS students for their CDL certification. So this site will be used as matching funds for the next 2 years. After the grant, the site will remain M1, and we'll try to do a light industrial operation at that location. Subject to your questions, that's my comments for today.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor of this rezoning application? Anyone who'd like to speak against this application? Anyone against? Seeing no opposition, public hearing is closed.
Motion for approval, the proposed M1 light industrial aligns with the intent of the future land use designation.
Second.
Got a motion to approve and a properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Mr. Ward, the motion passes.
All right, commissioners, that concludes our rezoning. If you'll go ahead and open your subdivision tabs on your tablets. We do have the one variance. So we do need to proceed today. We do have one variance request first, and then we'll get into the other portion of the agenda depending on the outcome of that one. As mentioned earlier, we deferred V2, which is on page 3, 4, 5, 6. Where's V3? 17, okay. Keep going.
This one's deferred.
If you'll go to page 17,
Okay.
you'll see application V3, variance 3 for Patrick Murray of Patrick's Point. At this time, I will turn this over to Mr. Parker to go through the details of the variance, and then we'll have to have a public hearing before we proceed with the subdivision cases.
Thank you, Mr. Tyndall. Commissioners, our subdivision, our first variance case is V3 2024. The engineer is McKay, Burchett and Company. The associated subdivision is Patrick's Point. Property is located south of Lawn Street and east of Bradley Street. Property is zoned R3 in the city. And the variance requested is to 4.17 subsection 2D. Street, road, or permanent easement intersections which do not align shall meet the following distance requirements between centerline intersections. Major local, minor local, cul-de-sac and alleys, a minimum of 150 feet. The proposed roadway intersection is 40 feet from the existing centerline of Dorch and Bradley Street intersection. You can see the justification provided by the applicant. Department comments are listed below that with no concerns related to the request. If you want to go to page 19 of your staff report, you'll see the variance review sheet provided from the staff. Following page 20 is the aerial overview of the site. Page 21, you'll see the variance exhibit that was provided by the engineer. If you would like to see the proposed preliminary plat that's in the later section, you can go to page 24 if you'd like to take a look at that. Otherwise, we will need a public hearing. Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, we're gonna have a public hearing for variance, case number V2 2024.
V3.
Hmm?
3, not 2. That was deferred. This one we got.
I'm sorry,
That's right.
stand corrected. V3 2024, Patrick Murray being the owner. Mr. Burchett.
Good afternoon, Cal Burchett with McKay Burchett and Company. So we are continuing Dixon Drive and tying it in to Bradley Street. And the property to the south is not owned by the same person, so our developer only has the opportunity to tie where we're tying. We did look at tying into Lawn Street, and grades wouldn't work out there, so we'd be here asking for a variance for subdivision grade. So worked with the street department, they were okay with this offset intersection, and we're just asking for y'all's approval also, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Mr. Burchett, what, just
Yeah.
curiosity? I keep,
Yeah, you've got
average
a,
lots 20, 21 feet wide?
the lots are 30 feet.
I'm seeing some 20, 21s.
So some of those probably might be in the curves there. If the zoning is R3, which requires 30 feet. So if they're in the curve, it might be 20 at the road, and at the setback, it'd be 30. So the houses that have double frontage on our proposed road, Dixon, they'll face Lawn Street with rear entry on our proposed road. So we felt that gave it a little better feel for subdivision than trying to connect to Lawn.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? Okay. Anyone else that like to speak in favor of this case V3 2024, variance 3. Anyone like to speak against? Okay, public hearing is
No, no,
closed.
you got someone speaking against.
Who? I'm sorry.
Named Danny Farmer. I have some property that adjoins to this piece of property. And, way I look at it, they're trying to put the, road out of the property onto, Bradley. And then on to Dortch. I don't know if any of y'all have been there or not. Dortch T-bones with Bradley. I've lived up the street from Current Street for a long time when I was a kid. Bradley Street is a very narrow street compared to the other streets that are around there. And if they're gonna put the traffic that way, it looks like it's gonna be a hindrance. And then I think initially it was to go up Dixon Drive, coming off of Current Street. And if y'all that's ever been there, you'll remember Dixon Drive. The ones that haven't, it's a hill about like that right there. Here's Current Street. And that would, to me, it would be maybe hard for fire trucks or school buses. And the other reason is my property that adjoins this property, it sits just a little bit lower than the adjoining property. And I'm wondering if construction and how they would move the dirt, it would maybe cause my property to be a runoff spot for all of the other property. And as of right now, it's not doing it. So, you know, my concern would be the future of what would happen if that was to be the case.
Mr. Farmer, just for clarification, this first hearing is just about whether they can connect close to Dorch Street. Then there'll be another chance to talk about the other overall subdivision here in just a few minutes.
I'm sorry, I'm
That's-
having a problem hearing you.
It's good. I said this is just to discuss the Dorch Street connection, but there will be another chance to discuss that subdivision in
Going
just a
across
few minutes.
And adjoin to Dorch Street, is that correct?
It's off by 40 feet, so instead of exactly lined up, the regulations require it to either be 150 feet apart or lined up exactly, and they're as close as 40 feet.
Okay.
We did not receive any objection from the street department or fire department for this variance. We'll discuss the actual case of the rest of the lots here in just a minute, so.
Right.
Okay.
Then the fact that Bradley Street is a narrow street wouldn't have any bearing on that.
We did not receive any comments from those departments that they were concerned that the additional few homes was gonna upset Bradley Street.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer. Anyone else would like to speak against B3 or has questions about B3 2024? Public hearing is closed. Commissioners?
I'll make a motion for the approval of the variance.
Second.
Got a motion to properly made approval to, in favor of the variance. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay, the variance is approved.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, for the remaining cases of the subdivisions, all items in this portion of the agenda are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the staff of the Regional Planning Commission and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the audience, the commission, or the staff may request an item be removed for separate consideration. I'll ask Mr. Parker to read the cases with the conditions into the record. The staff is not pulling any additional cases today, I believe.
Correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Parker.
Okay. Case number S21, Patrick's Point preliminary plat. Properties south of Lawn Street, east of Bradley Street, and north of Dixon Drive, zoned R3. It is within the city, and the staff recommendation is for approval with the 3 conditions listed. Case number S30. It's a right-of-way dedication for North Chesapeake Lane and Athletic Avenue. It is for preliminary approval. The engineer is Houston Smith of TTL. Property is located at east of Ted Crozier Boulevard, north of Dunlop Lane, and west of Interstate 24. Property zone C5 within the city, and the staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the 6 conditions listed. And that's it.
All
The
right.
rest were deferred.
Does anyone in the public need to discuss either of these cases at a formal public hearing? Otherwise, the commissioners will approve them with the conditions listed as written. Ma'am? Oh, just tell me which case at this point. The Murray case? Okay. All right. So let's dispose of the Feltner property, Chesapeake Lane right-of-way dedication. Mr. Chairman, over to you for that one. We just need a vote.
We need a vote on the consent agenda.
I make a motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay.
Okay, we'll have to go back and have a public hearing on Patrick's Point. Mr. Parker, please step us through the staff report.
Sure.
Starting on page.
Page 22 is the first page of the staff report. Again, Patrick's Point subdivision. Staff recommendation is for approval. 3 conditions are approval from the Clarksville Street Department to include roadway improvements, grading and water quality, and driveway access locations to the public right-of-way. Number 2, approval of all utility plans by the Office of the Chief Utility Engineer. Number 3, approved election plan as required by CDE Lightband. As already discussed, there was a variance request that was approved. On page 23, bottom of page 22, you'll see the beginning of the department comments, followed by the rest of those on page 23. Page 24 has the proposed preliminary plan. And if there's any questions about any of that, I'll be happy to try and answer those. Thank you.
Okay, we're in public hearing for S21, 2024, Patrick Murray, the owner. Those in favor have the opportunity to speak first.
Good afternoon again, Cal Burchett. Appreciate y'all's support with the variance request. As you know, this is just the beginning for us. We'll start working with the street department, Clarksville Gas and Water, to get their approvals. With the street department approval, it comes with a grading permit where we have to prove we won't be affecting the drainage concerns that he had. We have to provide detention to slow down any water. And they would be reviewing that along with our design. So, and we also work with Clarksville Gas and Water for the utilities and CD for their approval. So, be happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Thank you, Mr. Burchett. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Anyone who'd like to speak against? Yes, ma'am. Please identify yourself and your address, if you would, please.
My name is Cynthia Murray Minnick, and my address is 811 Bradley Street, and I border the property. I am Patrick is deceased. He died March 19th of 2022. I have his death certificate, and I'm the executor of his estate. I have my executorship. I also signed the property to sale in January. the purpose of me speaking is Patrick loved this property and would have never sold it, but he only sold it to the guy that offered to buy it when he was alive. Patrick has grown up on Dixon Drive. Patrick bought the houses to surround my mother's property. My mother's property is 811 Bradley Street. I am at the intersection of Dortch and Bradley. I've mowed every inch of that property. Not fun, but anyway, it's not totally hilly, but enough of a slope. I come forward in favor because I cannot maintain it. People, the neighbors do their dogs, walk their dogs. Somebody thought it was a playground, and I said, where's the equipment? Somebody drug trash from Dixon Drive over to the abandoned railroad track at the back. So I talked to the mayor, and the mayor said, I'll check it out. And he checked it out, and he cleaned it up, and then he's decided to make it a greenway. Mark Holloman applied for a grant to approve that, and they've already, I'd say, maybe got 1/8 to 1/4, and I'm not a construction person, but they've already started working on it on Lawn Street and Current, and they border the back of Patrick's property, and Dixon Drive runs into Current, Bradley runs into Long. So I'm thrilled they're not building apartments, so I'm very much in favor of this, and I know it's going to inherit and the traffic. There was a wreck on Riverside Drive, and I said they diverted up Current and over to Bradley. And I was trying to get people to going over to Crossland. I stood out there, and it was tight, but there were vehicles that could pass either way on Bradley Street. Now, like I said, I'm at the Dortch-Bradley intersection, so I live it and see it every day. At this time, there's approximately 40 to 50 cars. And of course, going home, going to work, coming home from lunch and supper. So that is sometimes the traffic. Obviously, the traffic from Crossland over to Bradley is sufficient adequately. It gets a little tight from Dortch to Bradley, to Current, but it's not impossible. And our family has owned that property, Mom's property, since '65, Patrick since 2005. If you have any other questions. That will be a walking track, and the city owns the railroad, not the railroad, the old railroad. Y'all probably remember. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, commissioners?
Anyone against? Against.
Anyone here who is against S21? Seeing no opposition, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay.
All right, commissioners, if you'll open up your site reviews tab on your tablets, similarly to the subdivisions. All items in this portion of the agenda are routine and non-controversial by the staff of the Regional Planning Commission and may be approved by one motion. However, a member of the audience, commission, or staff may request that an item be removed for separate consideration. Mr. Parker, would you please read the site plans that are up for approval today into the record?
Sure. Our first site review to be voted on is SR 19-2024. The agent is Weekly Brothers Engineering, Peachers Mill Retail, located at 1001 Creek Way, property zone C5. The recommendation is for approval subject to the three conditions listed. SR 2024. The agent is McKay Burchett and Company, Evans Road Condos on the east side of Evans Road, south of and adjacent to the intersection of Shaw Drive. 16 units are proposed. The staff recommendation is for approval subject to the four conditions listed. SR 21-2024. The agent is Houston Smith. Proposed use is a car wash located at 120 and 130 Vintage Way. Property zone C4, and the staff recommendation is for approval subject to the four conditions listed. SR 22-2024. AutoZone store number 64, the agent is Jason L. Hall. The property is located at 1105 Riverwood Place. Property is zone C5, and the staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the conditions listed. SR 23, 2024, Cycle Laundromat. The agent is Weekly Brothers Engineering. Property is located at 101 Highland Bluff Way, zone C5. The recommendation is for approval, subject to the 4 conditions listed. SR 24, 2024, the agent is TTL Incorporated, Jenkins and Wynn Body Shop Building Edition. Property is located on West Lowe's Drive, zone C5, and the staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the 3 conditions listed. SR 25, 2024, the agent is McKay Burchett and Company. Name of it is Elite Cheer Center 2. It's east of 2625 Madison Street, zone C5. The staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the 3 conditions listed. SR 26 is deferred. SR 27 is agent is McKay Burchett and Company. The site is called James Bell Jr. property. Professional offices is what's proposed on Beltrace Court. C2 is the zoning, and the staff recommendation is for approval, subject to the 3 conditions listed. That's all I have. Thank you, Commissioners.
Is there anyone from the public that needs to discuss any of those cases individually? Otherwise, they'll be approved in one motion. All right, Mr. Chairman, over to you.
Okay, Commissioners, we're going to vote on the consent agenda for SR 19, SR 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. Do I hear a motion to approve?
And 27.
And 27, I'm sorry.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
I abstain from the one on SR 22, 2024.
22. All right, Mr. Honeycutt, we got your abstention on that. All right, Commissioners, if you go to your other business section, the first case we have today is an annexation, A1 2024. This is for territory off of Lafayette Road, or Lafayette Road, Highway 374 and Garrettsburg Road. In total, this is 23.66 acres of 4 parcels, 2 owned by Mosaic Church and 2 owned by the Dailies. The property that the Dailies purchased off of Lafayette Road does touch the city limits, which will allow Mosaic Church, which one of the first requests when I got here was Mosaic wanted to annex, but they never touched the city limits back then, and that's one of the requirements the state has. Well, now this does give them the opportunity to touch the city limits. The 2 parcels on Lafayette Road that total 8.44 acres are requested to go from R1 to R4. The staff does not object to this. That would be about 90 to 96 townhomes. And the Dailies will also give Mosaic Church a rear driveway out, so they'll have one on Garrettsburg and Lafayette Road. You can see the plan of service. This does require an open public hearing before we forward it on to the city for their consideration. I'll be happy to answer any questions of the commissioners first.
Will this only be exiting on Lafayette Road?
Mosaic Church does maintain their driveway to Garrettsburg, but the other parcels will only be out to Lafayette Road. The church will have one driveway, and then the site has 2 different driveways out for the 2 different sections of the project. The driveway, in essence, for the church will split that development in half.
Any other questions? Need a motion to?
No, need a public hearing, unfortunately.
sorry.
That's all right.
We've had so many today. Okay, we're going to have a public hearing for the annexation in other business, A1 2024, 23 acres that will be annexed into the city of Clarksville. Anyone here would like to speak in favor of that annexation?
Hello, my name is Devin Daly, 3925 Vernon Creek Road. Representing both the owners on Lafayette and Mosaic Church. My father is the pastor of Mosaic Church. He is actually in Honduras at the moment on a mission trip and asked that I come and stand in his stead. This, as Mr. Tyndall spoke to, this is something that the church has been looking for an opportunity for a long time. We've tried at length to purchase the property on Lafayette for numerous different reasons, and finally was able to come to an agreement with the homeowner there to purchase the property. If you have ever been on 374 on a Sunday morning, God willing, Mosaic Church has grown a ton, and it is a nightmare trying to get out on such a small road, being Garrettsburg, that immediately as you turn hits the light at 374. And so this is going to create such an opportunity for them to continue to grow, but also continue to help traffic flow and be able to alleviate a lot of concern there. And then the additional benefits are just ancillary to that. The primary is the drive. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any. Thank you.
I applaud everything you're doing.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, anybody'd like to speak against this? Public hearing is closed. Need a motion.
I make a motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Okay.
I want to make a note that I need to abstain from that.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, this usually happens in May, June timeframe every year. We do have to review the city and the county's CIP or capital improvement plan. The counties will receive next month. The cities did send theirs in. We went over it Friday a little bit. You've had an opportunity to look at it. I'm not going to go through all the pages, but there's about 100 pages of the different public improvement projects on the 5-year plan. You see the resolution there on page, I don't know it numbered, but it's right after the annexation, page 12 on the tablet. I'll be happy to answer any other questions. Otherwise, we'll just forward this to the city for their consideration. No public hearings needed here on this.
Have a motion to carry this or push this forward to the city for their involvement, their budget process.
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion properly made second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right,
Okay.
and in the final piece of business, all the way down at page 112 and 113 is just the monthly P&L statement. We almost got it perfect this month, off by $1,400. So appreciate a motion on the fiscal statement as of April 30th, 2024.
Make a motion for approval.
Second.
Got a motion properly made second to approve the P&L. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
That concludes our agenda.
We got that one last item.
Oh, yeah, you want to do it?
Do we have anybody here who would like to speak for 3 minutes on any subject that was not caught in the meeting today?
John Comperry, 727 Wiley Brown Road. I'd like to discuss the future development of Wiley Brown Road. I know that there's been a 2-acre lot subdivided off of a tract of land on a 30-foot right-of-way that was approved as a minor plat. And I'm trying to understand how that went through without planning commission oversight. So I'd like to ask Mr. Tyndall to speak to that if he would.
Well, it's, you're talking about the lot I personally divided on Wiley Brown Road?
Yes, that.
I applied to the planning commission through my engineers at the time, and just like any other one lot plat, it went through the process. I did not have my hands on it at all during that process.
So it only went through with staff approval?
Correct, as a one lot plat, and that happens on every county road around the county.
That road does not meet the requirements for an alley. So that portion of Wiley Brown is barely 12 foot wide in places. The school buses don't even go through there. The school bus turns around at Surrey Ridge Road on the hill on Wiley Brown when it lets kids out. So my question is is this setting a precedent for more 2-acre lots to be developed on Wiley Brown Road? Or are we gonna stop this?
I believe you have issues all around the county about lots being created, whether acre and a half, or 5-acre lots, with minimum frontage or greater than minimum
And no
frontage.
utilities?
There's utilities, but I'll be happy to talk to you offline about this, but this is a public comment period.
That was a public comment,
Okay, we've heard it.
all right? I appreciate it.
Commissioners, motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to
Second.
adjourn. No, I was waiting on somebody. Wouldn't wait.